wall, right? So in the theater, in the movie set, right? You have a movie set,
The
right?
theater,
A theater.
not film.
No,
Okay, theater, and sometimes on the movie set.
Well, because you're the world's
what
best
I was
director, best producer, best scenic designer, best cinematographer, best actor, best musician, best
You don't have to say
screenplay writer, I will stick with film. So with film, right, you have the camera, right here, right, and this is like the set, right.
I hope you.
So here's the camera, right? Here's the camera. And everyone behind the camera is the crew, correct? Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Mr. Director?
That's right.
That's right. So here's the camera, here's the set. And so the focal point is here, and the camera can see here. Nothing back there, can only see there, right? The fourth wall is this wall. This is the fourth wall. There's that wall, that wall, that wall. And the camera is the fourth wall. And in the theater, the fourth wall is the audience. And the camera, in essence, is the audience. Is that correct, Mr. Director? The camera is the audience. Right?
Yes.
Right?
No, I mean, well, it's from the audience's POV.
That's what I'm talking about. No. This is a fourth
POV
wall.
was-
So the actor in the movie or the play does not look at the fourth wall. This doesn't exist to them because they're talking to this character, they're looking over there.
So it could be like three set walls
Right.
that look like a room.
So the fourth wall is when the actor breaks that and looks at the camera and talks to the camera like, I'm talking to the camera right now. I'm talking to the audience. Here you are. How you doing? What's going on? So I'm breaking the fourth wall. So that's
Like Ferris Bueller's Day Off when
Yeah.
he talks right
At
to
the
the
camera.
camera and says, let me tell you what happened. today."
that's breaking the fourth wall.
Okay. Not always. That's one example of him looking into the. Oh yeah,
That's breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Anybody who does that is breaking the
yeah.
fourth wall.
It's not always in Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something, but that's
No,
what happened.
any actor who breaks out of character and talks to the audience, that's breaking the fourth wall.
I think I'll go upstairs.
I thought you wanted to make a movie.
Oh, you want to be with me?
I'm here.
Okay.
I can't get up the stairs that easy. My
Is the
legs aren't
yogurt
doing.
pretty good? Is the yogurt pretty good?
You want one?
No thanks.
Okay.
Trying to lose weight.
I cleaned up. Oh yeah,
What's this dinner?
I'm not done cleaning up. So that's part of the show. I'm cleaning up. So I cooked dinner, and after cooking the dinner, I washed all the dishes. So tomorrow I will have a clean slate. And that's a good. Having a clean slate is, cooking is a metaphor for life. And you prepare. The biggest secret to cooking is don't let it burn. Meaning, once you have something on the burner, right? And especially if you put it full blast to get it going, you shouldn't walk away.
Cleaned up. Looks good.
I'm cleaning. I haven't done. I'm still doing it. Because it was getting a little funky. I hadn't cleaned the top of the stove for a couple of meals. So I'm cleaning it now. And I found Comet, which actually cleans it quite nicely. This stuff, not so much. I mean, it's okay, but it's a disinfectant. It really doesn't cut the grease, but the Comet cuts the grease.
In this story, are you going to talk about owl? What
We're talking
owl
about
is
everything. Everything.
Can you talk about an owl?
Everything interconnects.
What is an owl like?
Owl is.
But why did you name yourself? Why are you called?
I did not.
They
name
called you
myself.
owl.
Yes, I was called by. I've lived with many indigenous people, and three of those tribal people One was in Australia, one is in Africa, one was in South America. And those three had no owls where they were. They had no representation of it. And those three indigenous people were people who were still First Peoples, meaning I lived in Brazil for about a year and a half, and I've gone into the bush and into the rainforest a number of times, and hung with people, indigenous people. I mean, the government called them that, but they still wore shorts and sneakers and had "I Love New York" T-shirts. But I lived with people who were, had the bone in their nose, didn't have a gun, had little, poisoned arrows, and I mean, it's really, they had these little bows that were like this. But man, if they got you with that bow, if that arrow hit you, you were dead. So I lived with people like that, and they named me when it came time to give me a name. They called me Owl.
Okay.
And they pronounced it "ro," oh. They had never heard anyone call anyone, but you are Owl. Instead of like, when a friend of mine in New Mexico had he was an elder of the Hopi, and his son had a horse ranch, right? And it was his ranch, but he was too old, and he was living out in the valley, in the Four Corners, out in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, right near Mount Taylor. Taylor was he was the man who started the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and he was the one who, he called it the final solution, how to kill all the Indians. And he was a guy who took Indians that were, let's say, in Maine and put them in Nevada, and took the Indians that were in Nevada and put them in Maine. And of course, they died just because they weren't used to that weather or the environment or the people or anything. And that was James. That was Mr. Taylor, right? And so the Hopi's most sacred mountain was called the Snake Goddess, and if you messed with it, it would devour you, right? And what was the Department of Energy doing but digging the deepest
Snake Mountain?
Snake Goddess, the name of the mountain, translated from Hopi. It was snake.
You know what's really weird?
What?
Last summer when I was driving home one time on this mountain, I stopped on the road to do something in the car, and I turned all the lights off. I don't know why. I'd had enough, and I turned all the lights off, and I looked ahead, and it looked like there was a giant snake mouth in the sky, covering up, like opened up right where the road was going.
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah, and it was like scary.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, I got to go get to my kids or something. These years have gone by.
Well, did you? No.
I think I got a plane flight, and then I was unable to get on the plane, and then had to stay here, and then it went away, and then it was okay again. And I think it was because I started a dating profile, like to think maybe I'll have to find a new wife, and then so I deleted it, and then it was okay again.
Uh-huh.
Hey, that was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
So what is the owl's role?
Owl's the role.
And were those Aborigines, or who were they that said that?
A tribe of the Wamajiri in Australia called me that, but those guys knew what owls were. They were wearing cowboy boots, cowboy hats. Not so much the boots; they were barefoot. But they called me owl. But the tribe in Brazil called me owl, and there was a group Africa has been pretty messed with, but in the 70s, I was in a part of Africa where the Kong were, and they knew white people. They had to deal with white people a lot, but they tried to be as deep in the woods and away from anybody.
What part of Africa, like where in Africa, was it? Congo?
Not in the Congo, no, it was South Africa.
Oh, okay. That's where a lot of white people are supposedly are. In
Well,
Africa.
white people are everywhere. They're like cockroaches. But these guys were there, and the Kong are, it's like, human beings.
You're
Like,
white.
Hmm?
Oh, you're not. You're a melted. You're a.
I am an African American that's melanin challenged. So, but what I'm really getting at is that there are,
They also called you Owl.
yes,
Did
but-
they happen to call you Owl,
no,
or did you tell them?
no, you don't tell anyone to call me. I mean, once your name has been given, you can use your name, but basically, and also the Iroquois in upstate New York, they call me that too. And no, that's you don't pick that name; it is given to you. And after a number of different First Peoples gave me that name, I said, okay, especially the Brazilian rainforest guys who didn't see white. I knew about white people, but like in dream time, I mean, no white people went where they were. I was sent to talk to them. And they didn't, the language barrier was quite interesting. But we were because we didn't understand each other's languages, we were basically telepathic. And everyone is telepathic. It's just that we put so much fear and anxiety in between. We do
The
not.
limitations of the five senses we know, and everyone says, "Well,
Yeah.
you can't really hear things, so
Right.
this is how it is." So
Yeah.
we're going to pretend that this is how it is.
Well, not
Or
pretend.
you're crazy.
Just let yourself.
Because that's how I used to think. But then I found the Bible, and it doesn't mention voices anywhere. But then I think
Sure it does. Come on.
every adult hears voices.
No,
Maybe not children.
no, John. I
I mean,
mean,
we get thoughts of someone saying something.
well, there were there were voices. I mean, Joseph, Mary, Moses, all of those guys heard voices. Jesus heard voices. John the Baptist heard the voices. All
there
of the
were particular voices from heaven that were not consistent that they do every day.
when something was going on, they would go. They would get the message, and no one else heard the message, but they heard it, and they would say, I heard the Lord, or I heard this, or a messenger has just told me, and they weren't. The messenger wasn't there with a Western Union outfit, But anyway, here's
they
my
all called
kids.
you Al? Owl?
Yeah, lots of them did, yes. And for Amy from Texas, hey, I'm here. About
She's writing on yours?
crone that you lived with. Oh, I can talk about that. So the Irish crone, she was really tight with owls. They were all in her forest, and they had every type. I mean, out here we had two different types. We had the big horn owls, and then the little barn owls. But she had every type, and what it really showed me, like human beings, right?
Al, the picture I used for this video is you looking just like an owl. I photoshopped it.
Oh, that's nice.
You'll see it later.
Right.
So this video is about owls.
Right. So anyway, you're gonna have to show me how to do that, because this thing sometimes it takes a picture off of what I'm doing, and sometimes it just uses the one
I was
stock
gonna watch
picture.
it. I was gonna go upstairs and comment and stuff.
Oh, you can do that.
Okay.
You can go do that.
Okay.
So anyway, in Ireland, so I'm not going to go again to the whole story about how I met the old crone. I'm just going to pick up from living there, and so she.
Can I do this so you don't have to look way two ways?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay. Okay.
You
You don't want to do it. You don't have to do it. You
Yeah.
can do it.
So anyway, please tell us about. I'm going to. Oh yeah. So Ash Cron, she's a real human being. She was born in the latter part of the 1900s, like around 1890 something, and she grew up and. She went to English private schools for girls, and then she went to Oxford. And then First World War came out, and she wanted to volunteer as a doctor. And they were, you're a woman, you can't do that. And so she went to the French, and they let her. We're not going to let you work in the hospitals, but you can go work in the trenches. We need like like a MASH. Right there. And she did that. And she drove ambulances and did that. And then the 20s happened, and she went back to Oxford, and she went to the Sorbonne, and she, was a doctor, and she got a doctor of letters in theology, philosophy, and art history. So she was quite the educated girl. And she went off to teach, and she taught at Trinity and before World War II. And she's an English person, but she spent most of her life in Ireland. And when World War II broke out, she had enough of war at World War I, and knew that it was a useless piece of crap. So she stayed in Ireland. And she stayed on the West Coast, and like I said, she taught at Trinity, and then she found this property. She loved the West Coast. West Coast is the best because the West Coast is, everyone thinks Ireland is this dark, rainy place, right? Well, it's an island in the Atlantic, right? And so it's like Florida, the weather, if you stand in Ireland long enough, the weather will change, right? And so, but it has an East Coast and a West Coast. And the West Coast faces, the Gulf of Mexico comes right around it, right? And so the Gulf of Mexico, comes from Africa, goes through the Caribbean and South America, Mexico, then comes kind of right at Florida and right around North Carolina. It goes up into the Atlantic. Now, a good chunk of it just keeps going up, like past Maine and into Newfoundland and all that. But the big flow goes over to Ireland and goes down along the west coast of Ireland. So I lived on the west coast of Ireland for a good year and a half. And the West Coast. The East Coast is facing the North Sea and England. And dark, cold, nasty, terrible thing. The West Coast, they got palm trees. The water from the Atlantic Ocean really doesn't get colder than 70 degrees, even in the winter. And they have this thing called the Ring of Kerry. It's like, these fingers that are peninsulas that stick out just above Limerick and between Limerick and Skibbereen, and it's really beautiful. So these things are like, they're peninsulas. They go out into the ocean. They go out maybe 60 miles or so, and they're maybe 2 or 3 miles wide, or maybe wider. And there's about 1.5 miles between each. And this, it's like maybe 4 or 3. I'm not quite forgot. Might even be 5, but it's like they stick out there. And so there's these, like from, the coast from here to here, it's maybe 30 miles, or maybe let's say 50 miles, 60 miles. But this is 60 miles, another 60 miles, 60 miles, 60 miles, 60 miles, 60 miles, 60. So that's like, 400 miles, but it's only, so not everyone. And again, Ireland has so much changed. The last time I was in Ireland, or when I left Ireland, let's say, was in 1988. And that's when they signed the Maastricht Treaty, and that's when they joined the EU, and that's when everything changed. But it is still a a truly amazing place, and uh, and it had these forests, and the English, the Romans deforested everything, and forests are very powerful places, and you know, um, the trees are alive. They are, alive, right? And they are connect. They are like the antenna that connect the prana of Father Sky to the chi of Mother Earth. And that makes the connect. That's what keeps us alive. It's not, they pump out, they take CO2 and turn out oxygen. Yes, they do that, but that's not what keeps us alive, So, this is my given Lana. Hey, Lana. Who have asked you all of that? Let's see. Amy, Texas. You don't have a clue. Glad you posted a question mark. Now be nice, girls. So Ireland, has been, because it was where Atlantis and Lemuria. Ireland was one of the last bastions of the old makers, right? And the Romans tried to conquer them. Saint Patrick, right? So he's a scholar. He was like me. He was a itinerant scholar. He wasn't. He didn't belong to any singular order. He wasn't even a frocked priest, but he was a scholar, right, for the Holy Roman Empire. So they called him. He looked like a monk, and just like I look like a monk. And so he went to the emperor, and the emperor kept sending, legion after legion after legion into Ireland, and they never came back. And the Romans conquered, England. That's why you go to the. I'm not quite which coast Bath is on, but those were all Roman baths, right? So, and there's lots of, in London there's Roman stuff. And, Scotland to Ireland is only 15 miles, and Northern Ireland is just 15 miles. So that's why Northern Ireland is still England, because they had that as their little bastion, and they had, soldiers. The Rome had soldiers there. You kept sending them into Ireland, and they never friggin' came back. Period. Never. Nobody. Not even a few come. They got us. It's terrible. Oh, the harm. No, it wasn't like that, right? They just never came back. And so the Romans had to go, Roman on them, and just, scrub the whole place, right? And the only thing left of the old forests is the hedgerows, right? And the myths of the hedgerows is that, Romans came and there's so many stones in Ireland, they just kind of pushed the stones and no. That was the last bastion of the Druids, and the last bastion of the living trees. I mean, trees that were like you and me, but they were like, 400 feet tall, and they were like antenna, like I'm saying, they were the antenna that brought the prana down through into the chi of Mother Earth and brought life to us all. That's what animates us. Otherwise, we'd just be bags of water, right? So, let's see. Anthony has Atlanta. Yeah. I took off.
Here's Ireland. What he was talking about.
You can hold it. I'm not going to touch your thing.
No, whoops. Here's Ireland. I don't know if it shows up on your screen.
No, it doesn't seem to.
Well, I can try to show your screen if you want.
No.
You don't want to?
No.
Okay. I'll show it on my
Right.
channel. I'll show a picture of Ireland on my channel while he's talking.
Well, go to the northern.
That's what he was talking about right there.
No, that's not what I.
Right there, those islands.
Oh yes, there's a finger. See, that's the. Let's see if my little guy. You know what? If you could turn that light off, then my thing will pick it up. No. Keep this one.
Oh.
Keep this one on. But that one, okay. Now put your laptop here, and it'll work. Right. So, you put it down. Nah, put it right there.
Maybe if it's taking up the entire screen, then
No. I don't need that. I don't need that.
Okay.
Your people need a map. My people don't.
Okay, I'll put the map of Ireland on here when you're talking about Ireland.
Well, you can get both of me.
Well, this is
Does this
that's what
thing
he was talking about. Those
Does this thing scroll
those
down?
fingers that
Yeah,
60
this right
miles
there. Yeah, the ring of
there,
Kerry.
each
Right.
one.
Right, ring of Kerry. Yep, that's
Those
it.
are 5. One,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep, that's fine. The rings of Kerry. And what's this city?
Cork?
Cork, right?
Cork.
Okay.
I can show you where my family's from.
Oh, so anyway, so here, right here, see how close England? Go back. Go down.
I'm trying to think. Where's your family from?
Italy.
Are they from Ireland?
Oh, I have. Yes, I have some. They're from Dublin. They were rich.
They were rich?
Yeah, from when they were in Ireland. Yeah, they were rich.
Well, these are the islands he was talking about.
Right.
There's 60 miles there,
Right,
60 miles back. My family think, Tipperary.
Yeah, Tipperary.
Tipperary. My family's from Tipperary. They still have a farm there, I think.
Oh, they do. We should go to Ireland.
We could, but I don't know. I'd be a little nervous. I don't know.
Well, you can't.
Or maybe if I was with Danica and the kids, or the kids and the wife, if she doesn't want to be with me, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Let's see.
Ireland. There's Limerick. Did you talk about that? There's Cork. Here's Dublin.
See, they're all on the East Coast, facing the North Sea.
Well, Dublin is, and
Yep.
Cork is.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
Limerick is like
In the
somewhere
middle.
here.
Right.
There.
And they have, so go make it. Let's bring it. Right. See how close Northern Ireland is to the United Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
So when this is why Northern Ireland is so English, because it's so close to England, right? And so that whole part was the Romans. They had the galleons and the armies there, and they kept sending whole armies into Ireland, and they never came back, And so they sent St. Patrick in, and he goes, "Well, we'll give you a whole army." He said, "No,
See how far it is from America.
I'm just going to go in and go." And so
Yeah,
he
is this
did,
America?
and
Just ran through
he
that.
basically hung with the Druids and understood
Here's
their
America.
esoteric and occult culture,
Here's Ireland.
and he wiped them out. And that's those were the snakes, the Roman Empire said. So anyway, let's see, Texas. Amy from Texas. Amy.
Northern Ireland.
Who I am. So anyway, I was.
Were you in Southern Ireland? Or
No, I was
Northern?
on the West Coast, the whole West Coast.
Oh.
From Galway, go
Yeah.
up to show them Galway.
Where's
From
Galway?
It's at the top. Galway, it's up there someplace.
Where was the crone? Can you show me where the crone was?
Yeah, find Skibbereen.
Skibbereen. Oh, yeah.
Find Skibbereen.
I'll type it in. Skibbereen.
No,
Skibbereen. Got it.
Okay. It's on the coast, right?
It's. What's he doing?
It's cold. It's cold up there. He wants to get the fuck inside the house.
Come on. What is he doing? Skibbereen.
Come on in.
It's like I'm trying to figure out which exactly is north and south and stuff.
This is west. This
'Cause
is
it's, like,
east.
right
this
there.
is south. This is north. Skibbereen is down there.
Yeah.
Keep
But
going.
there's some lake or You think we could zoom in on Google Earth and find where she lived?
Maybe because she don't live there.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Google.
No.
Earth.
But no. Go expand.
You can 3D. Watch this. This is really cool. Have you ever seen Google Earth?
Yeah, I've seen Google Earth.
Come on, man.
Let's see. What was I looking for? Oh, yes. Here we go.
Swish this sour liquid in your mouth before bed to grow your
Okay,
teeth and gums before you sleep and never need a dentist again. Scientists
Give
at
it
the
a-
National
Here he is, High Street Baptist Church. I don't like it in English.
Okay, guys. This is from Mind Unlimited.
The world of the past was far
You're
different
an
from what we know
island,
today.
baby. I don't even know. Hey, this is old
Those who
woman
follow our channel
Wiggins.
know how we connect the Irish to Tartaria. There's still many who get confused by this. There is this one comment on the last Tartaria video where someone commented
This
on
is
the very
old
question.
woman Wiggins.
Beautiful you says, beautiful brother. I'm in Ireland now. Something to ponder upon. There are max 4 million people here now. Before the genocide known as the Great Famine, there were 8 million here. Oh, so the cities were small.
Is this
Yet today,
Skibbereen?
there's almost zero trace of the huge
That's
population.
Ronan, Virginia.
Almost nothing remains. Some round towers, but that's it. I love your line of inquiry. Thank you. And I try to be respectful to those who actually live in Ireland, so I didn't want to push any theories.
Oh, it's
So I just
upside
kind of
down
said
there.
that
Put that down there. Can
the
listen.
Romans
Come
destroyed
on.
everything, including the trees. Then Daniel
Come
Long
on,
made an
big guy.
amazing
This is what I was
video
talking about.
which
We
really
ain't gonna
inspired this
take you,
video,
Jay.
and I knew this was the next step we needed to take. Mine unveiled and beautiful you. I am from Cork City, very close to Charles
Anyway,
Ward,
I'm
and
an
yes,
off-duty
Ireland
police
has been
officer.
reduced to
My name's
2% of
John
forests.
Birmingham.
Different trees provide
So
different
anyway,
oxygens,
big guy, I
which
ain't gonna
affect us
take you
different.
to jail.
Has a
That
considerable
would be
effect on the
somebody I
country,
don't.
which is now essentially a food processing factory. Also, it was stripped bare along with places of worship. In 1903, British Israelites
Sorry.
destroyed the Boyne Valley and ripped
Skibbereen.
Tara to shreds looking for the Ark of the Covenant.
Skibbereen.
Irish oak was worshipped the most and decorates a lot of prominent buildings, including the House of Lords.
Look at this.
A lot of other trees helped build the Royal Navy. The lock in my
That's
city
it.
is man-made and goes back to
Look at
antiquity and
this.
has perfect mathematics
It's a
and connected to the
3D.
5 rivers from underground chambers.
You can
What
zoom
is
with
also
your
left are
fingers.
Stonehenges,
Well,
dolmens, and Ogham
I don't know if you
stones
know
and
what this stuff
varmints.
is.
It's all
Although
modern.
most were destroyed,
Watch this.
most hidden and unaware even
All
by
the stuff
locals.
that I knew is
I
gone.
grew up in a house
When,
across the road
when
from
were
the
you
Red Abbey
there? The
Castle.
60s?
And when I was
No,
a baby, my
88.
dad was doing
Look
work
at
in the
this.
house and found an underground tunnel
This is it
connecting the
today.
Abbey
Yeah.
to Elizabeth's Fort. The gate leading under the tunnel is still visible in Elizabeth Fort, but bricked up in the Abbey now. These tunnels are all over the country. In 11th century Ogham, the real Irish language, was the most outlawed and punishable by death to speak it. Later in history,
Skibbereen.
they introduced the English version of the Irish language.
This is called
Changing the
Google
alphabet
Earth.
from 20
It's
letters
cool.
to
You can
26.
type in where you're going.
I really appreciate that comment. Like I said before, it was the main inspiration for this video.
Can you
Quote.
see it?
By the time St. Patrick arrived in the 5th century, the density of native
Maybe
trees
I'll
was
do it.
dwindling.
Maybe I'll
In
see
the
if
early
you can
centuries of the
do
first millennium, some tree species, such as elm, had drastically declined, probably related to
Can you see
disease.
Yeah,
Ireland was
You can
once
see it on
a
your
forest
computer?
culture,
yeah.
but following the development of agricultural practices since the 1600s, the proportion of Irish woodland has now reached an all-time low.
It's really no different.
Unfortunately,
Keep the light on.
Ireland has been almost completely deforested with merely 1% of native woodland left. Quote, according to the academic Dr. Richard
Okay.
O. Hanlon,
Let's
causes behind
skip it.
Ireland's deforestation are numerous, intertwining, and historic.
Somebody does it.
So
O.
go back
Hanlon
to
notes
the-
that just
so go
10%
back
of
to the
Ireland
map.
is under forest cover, and as we stated in the past, it's understood that
Yeah,
just
they've
1%
totally
of
changed
that
it
is made
since
up
I
of
was
native
there.
Irish trees.
Do you remember
Trees were
any
cut down in the
businesses that would
thousands
still make
as wood
beer?
requirements hit unprecedented levels, and despite
Like the
numerous
library
initiatives through the
or-
20th and 21st
No,
centuries,
that road. I mean,
forest
all the
levels
roads
have
were
never
small.
recovered.
Highway. I mean, it's just a
I think
big
this
one
subject
big
is
highway.
very
that's
interesting,
all it is.
and there are many who still cannot see why we even
Go
bring
that
up
way.
like-
That's where the town
I
is.
said this before.
This is-
I'm
The
not
town
even
is that
Irish,
way.
so This isn't
No,
some
the other
kind
way.
of
The other way.
nationalism.
This is
Up
the
here.
town.
It's very
Yeah, this,
apparent that there is
this
an
is all
ancient
the
history
town.
of
See,
Ireland that
keep
has been
going.
intentionally
Mm.
concealed.
and yeah, they changed
No,
it.
It was
Keep
done
going.
so
This
that
is
the
not-
origins of
yeah,
civilization
that's
could
the
be
city.
placed as far east as possible, hiding the true origins of civilization,
Yeah. They
Atlantis.
changed everything.
Again,
In
Ireland
Colin's.
is a remnant of Atlantis,
I don't know
Hibernia,
what they sound like.
Hyperborea.
And Colin's.
I want to make this very clear that this
Oh,
is far
Latin.
from white supremacy. The term Arya simply means honorable, or there was a point in the past,
See, none of this was
multiple
there
god
when I was
races.
there.
but that's not how things are now.
It's all
People think
factories,
that
all
black and
business.
white or that
all
color
money.
in general dictate race. Okay, so different
You can go on
dogs are
Google
different
Earth
races.
on your computer
I
No,
don't want
they
to.
aren't.
and
They're what's
I don't
called a
want
see
breed.
what stuff is.
I
They
don't
all
want
come
to.
from these
Okay.
god races.
But it was in
I
the
have a
woods
video on the
somewhere.
Moors that goes over
So
the
go
ancient
back to
Irish
the-
legends
there's
of the
Skibbereen.
Fomorians, but
Okay. Where's
basically
Well,
go
every
up the
human is
coast?
So
mixed
we
to a
know-
degree with these
That's
god
the
races.
rings
There's
of
upside
Kerry.
down.
That's the rings of Kerry.
This video isn't about
And
race,
if you were
What's
keep,
the
but I
rings
want
of-
to start
oh,
making
right,
it very
those things
clear
right
where we
there.
stand.
That's the rings of
oh,
We
Kerry.
see all humans of today as equal. We all possess the same capabilities, and I
What is,
refuse to be a
I
part of
said
any
ooh, 'cause it
superior type
reminds
thinking
parents,
in
it
any
feels
way,
like it's
shape,
like
or form.
pretending.
You have to understand why I bring this
my
up.
mom's watching. She
These
wants me to
topics
put
are
regular
offhandedly
clothes on.
labeled as white supremacist
I don't know
ideas.
what it is.
I suspect
Maybe
that this
it's
is
in
a
my
distortion
mind.
to keep the truth of ancient history from the human race.
I don't know what it
Just
is.
know that our intentions are truly genuine. Now, moving forward, the main topic of this video is ancient deforestation in Babylon. Let's start with the
So,
ancient
okay, so keep
deforestation
going
and
now,
what this
keep
even
going now.
means.
You want to zoom in on it?
Well, most of
here.
us have heard the
There's
theory
no,
of giant
I
silica
got it.
trees.
I got it.
If you don't know,
So
it's
there's the
basically
ring of
saying
Kerry.
that the plateaus of
right?
the world
Will
are
this
really
thing
giant
follow me?
trees of the past,
You
and that all the trees we have now are just bushes.
Why is it talking
Now
really
that's an
loud
awesome
on yours?
theory, but this
Because I
is
wanted
not what this
to.
video is
Okay.
about. We do have a video on giant
it's
trees,
talking
so
about
check it
Ireland.
out if you feel like it.
man.
This theory of giant trees of the past
how do
is
I make
usually
it-
thought of to be ages and ages
Upside
ago.
down, regular.
the time-
No, I
to the
know
Titans,
right where it is.
so
I just wanted
It's a
to.
little easier for us to imagine these
zoom
types
in
of
like
theories.
this, and then
It's
you
the same with the mainstream
click on
story
it
of
one time
Atlantis.
and drag
We have
it
people
down
like Graham
that.
Hancock,
Okay.
who estimates Atlantis to be 12,000 years ago.
You do
Where
it.
are you
You know
going?
where
Much
you're going.
easier
You know
for
Ireland
people
so
who
well.
know these
I don't know.
subjects
Go ahead.
to
You can do
imagine
it all
these
now.
theories, especially when you add a date that pushes these occurrences
Yeah.
extremely far back. But what about the events that have happened much more recently? Events that mainstream history refuses to look at. I'm very thankful for those like Graham Hancock and Brian Forrester who are out on the field actively trying to figure out what's going on. I'm just saying that when it comes to dating, there's biased opinion, and it has to do with cosmology and the lies of Scaligerian history. They still are following the official story of history, as in everything that happened from after the Greeks in Rome really did happen as mainstream history says. I don't think so. There's been a massive cover-up by the priest in order to hide not only the origins of civilization, but the origins of language itself. The timeline of history has been completely altered and concealed.
Upside down on it.
What we will be discussing is how, very
Right.
recently,
Like
within the
south,
past
north,
1,000
north,
years,
and south.
Yeah.
massive
That's
amounts
okay.
of magical forest and trees were
So,
completely removed. Specifically,
Where are
we're
the
talking about
reindeers?
Ireland and
Skibbereen?
Britain, which used to be one landmass in the past. Ireland is really just a remnant of Atlantis.
I
So
could
you can
type in
imagine that
search
the
against
trees that were
Skibbereen,
in
I'll
this
turn it
location
right
were
side
the
up.
most
No,
ancient
it's
origins.
okay.
They still exist today, but very few remain. What are trees? Have you ever taken the time to consider what they even are? They are antennae that draw on energy, but even more so, they are spirits. That's why they call alcohol spirits, because it is the essence of the plant. Trees help create the environment. They allow nutrients to spread throughout the soil. The roots have an effect on the rivers, and the leaves give off oxygen. Trees are the most ancient and sacred symbol used in religion, and it began with the ancient Druids. It's obvious why trees were seen as sacred, and this transferred into later cultures such as the Hebrews. They also revered the trees, hence the name Jew,
Skibbereen.
after the sacred yew tree.
Skibbereen is up here.
The yew tree is known to be an immortal spirit, as it can live for up to 5,000 years and then rebirth itself through its own roots, like a phoenix. You can see the symbolism for the tree in many religions. There's no doubt that the tree has been a significant symbol in spirituality. There was a time where there was one language, and this language was the basis of all others. But this language has been lost, erased, and the oldest we have left is Greek, Phoenician, Vedic, and Ogham. Now, Ogham is unique in that the writing system is a calendar and a divination device. The other languages are as well, but they have been altered and added vowels. The magic is not the same. Ogham is a child to this
I
ancient
can't
Atlantean
even.
language,
Okay.
which
I-
then
I'm
led to
looking-
the
I'll type
Phoenician
in this.
language, which is the mother of languages, according to Donnelly.
And we'll turn it down.
Of the trees.
Zooming in.
Now, it may not seem like it now,
Can you find
but
where the
Ireland
crow
and Britain
was
was
from
once
there?
covered in deep, dark forest filled with
I have to
life,
find.
Trees
Type-
are
type-
vibrational
type
emitters that
in
can cause
Glendor.
multidimensional shifts in consciousness. This is what
Glendor.
made
Okay.
the world more magical in the past. It was destroyed and taken for personal gain.
There's a 90% chance your phone is already infected with this. There's a
Yeah.
new groundbreaking discovery that's reversing plant.
Glendor Island. Here it is. It's zooming out and zooming in.
There you go. That's where I lived.
Really?
Yep. And you stop it from.
Is Trinity near there?
Huh?
Is Trinity near there?
No, Trinity's in Dublin.
Oh.
It's like on the other side of the island.
Oh.
Anyway, so can you stop it from turning around?
Um.
Can we stop it and
Turn-
zoom out a little
and
bit?
See where it is.
Can we stop it and zoom out where it is? Okay. Okay.
Oh.
So there's the Glendor. Yeah. So that's where I lived, and the highway kind of went over here, and somewhere in there she lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where?
Somewhere in this neck of the woods.
That's where the Irish crone live?
Yeah. And if you
Okay.
could find the highest point in that area, the highest point.
Where can you find like where
There is
the
no.
road
There
was
is. Well,
to it?
let's see.
To her?
Oh no! Let's see. Let come. No. You're too close. Zoom out just a tad. Zoom out a tad. Yeah. Come on, a little more. Yeah, perfect. Now, where is the coast road? You found the coast road.
It's called the Coast Road.
Well, it's called like it has a number. I don't know what it is, but it's goes along the coast, And yeah, so it's then go over here a little bit. More over here.
Here?
Yeah. Let's see. So there's a lake. She lived off a lake, so those are lakes. I think those are lakes.
Wait,
No. They're forests.
she lived off a lake?
Yeah.
Cool.
And a
Is
forest.
that a lake? Wait. Kuragalki Lake
Right.
viewing point? Or is
That's the
what,
lake.
they cleared
this,
out?
This is the lake. That's the lake.
That is?
Yeah, that's a lake. It
But
looks
maybe they knocked the trees down and stuff.
they
and
took
built
all the
farms.
trees down. The Romans took all the trees down. There's a lake. But it was a small lake. And it was on top of a mountain. So if you got,
It was on top of a mountain?
yeah, top. It was the highest point in the neck of the woods.
How do you find it?
That's why I don't like computers. It's a waste of time. How are you guys doing?
How do you find it? I ain't never been to Ireland, man. Bring me back to Mexico City.
It's kind of hard to tell a story.
No,
I'm
it
gonna
hurts
sit
me.
here. How long is this? We've been running here. 43 minutes. 4 of you guys are there.
It is.
Glendor. Okay, there was we're finding where the Irish crone lived from his big video, the Irish crone video that got us all the followers for Al Bob and me on the channel
That's why I don't like
of his
computers.
videos.
Yeah, waste all this
Stuff.
time on it.
Right.
Again, it's off the coast road. It's about 40 miles.
It's a lake. Oh, it's 40 miles away from Glendor.
Yeah. Along the coast road, and it goes up where the mountain. There are no real mountains in Ireland, but there's higher points than other points, and Tipperary is a high point, and see
Yeah,
this.
that's where my family's from.
See, this thing is
Well,
so
on my
two-dimensional. You
dad's
can't even see the hills. You can't see.
Oh, maybe once you zoom in a bunch, you can tell or something.
Well, I don't know. We can't even see. But then you're too close.
It doesn't look like it's really mountainous.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You can't even see that they're hills. I mean, see right along here. So wait. See, this is a sign that it's a hill. The sun's over here, and there's a shadow there. So you can.
It doesn't look like big mountains.
No, they've been scraped off. And so anyway, Amy, if you really the guy who really knows, I mean, this kid is really quite the
I'm gonna zoom in.
he's
this
like
lake.
right between scholar and someone's calling you.
The spam.
Who's Stan?
The spam.
Oh, scam.
The spam. Yes.
Oh, spam.
Yeah.
Right, scam. Right. Let's see.
It looks like they really developed all this land.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. In '88, when I
Or
was
they
there,
made it into farms.
no, they always had farms, but they got a lot more houses, and the towns have gotten more industrial, and that's the sad thing about it.
It looks like it's still kind of farm looking,
Yep. Well, yeah, they got a lot of farms.
like open fields.
Yep, they got that. So yeah, Mind Unveiled. UNVELL.
Oh, hey, look what it did.
UNVEILED.
It
Mind
showed the
Unveiled.
mountains.
If you go, Amy,
Well,
if you go to that
It's
channel,
hills. It's like
that
hills.
guy, he's really into Tartarian culture, and that is, Lemuria, Atlantis, and Ireland was the last refuge. And the other last refuge was down in a hot spot near Cuba, that little triangle there, the Bermuda Triangle. And so there was all that. And then you go see all of the pyramids. In Ireland, there are pyramids. Of course,
Pyramids.
yeah, but Irish archaeologists don't want to say that, but there is one. But that is like a that is a whatchamacallit, a tourist site, and they call it a burial mound, but it's a friggin' pyramid, And the pyramids weren't burial grounds. They had tombs for the pharaohs, but they weren't the pyramids. When they went into the pyramids, they called things the
So-
queen's chamber, the king's chamber, but they weren't.
So
The pyramid was basically your basic energy device. That's what it was, right? So,
it's kind of like the crop circles or something.
no, it's not.
Like
something.
the ancient stuff that's there that you
Yeah,
can find
ancient
that
stuff
have to
that's
be
there.
around-
Yeah,
have
and
to
in
be
Ireland,
around.
when I was there, I hung out with this guy named Archie. I forget it, Devon, I think. He was a Scottish, earl or duke, but he met the old crone at Oxford, and then they went to Trinity together. And Archie was still teaching there when I was there, and his whole thing was he wanted to prove that there were pyramids in Ireland, and so we spent one whole spring taking a gypsy wagon. That's like a horse-drawn RV. And we just kind of, chugged up the West Coast. And there were no highways. Now I'm looking at this thing. They got interstates all around Ireland. I mean, it's really sad. And when the
I'm not
last
sure the
time I
video.
was in Ireland was in '05. And I told that story the other night, where this rich lady took me there, a friend of mine who was, she came from a rich family. They were in real estate and stock, and she went to college, and she got all kinds of degrees, but she never did anything with those degrees. She was a great musician, a great actress. She really was a funny actress, and she was very creative, but she never did anything. She was just a dilettante. She bought this house that was run down, but she never even really, she kind of fixed it up. Then she married this other guy who was also from a rich family, and he was a dilettante and well educated and didn't do anything with it, didn't help anybody, wasn't involved. And I knew them because I knew everyone in Asheville, and I was involved in everything going on. And so this woman used to, she was, a hanger on. And so she and I would have these in Asheville. I had these potluck dinners, and she and her husband would come. and her husband was quite interesting. And she wasn't interesting, but she was talented. So she could play the ukulele, and she could play what's that other four string? There's other than a ukulele. What?
Mandolin?
Yes, that's
Really?
it. See, you got it.
Mandolin?
She could play.
Like the Italian one.
A mandolin. I don't know if it was Italian or not. She wasn't. She was
song.
right. She was kind of Irish.
We play at weddings and stuff.
Anyway, so bottom line of her was so she. What happened? Both those kids, both their parents died within a year, right? The same year and within a year of each other. And so both those, he inherited $10 million and she inherited $10 million. And they were like, whatchamacallit? Their parents put $5,000 in their checking accounts every month, right? And then they really didn't do any. I mean, he stacked cans at the, Asheville, the first Earth Fair. Earth Fair, this guy, what was his name? Nice Jewish boy, nice Jewish mom. They had their first store, which wasn't called Earth Fair, but it was on not Broad. It wasn't on Broadway. It was on right there near 240, and it was. It's actually too cold. I'm gonna go in my room. I don't need to be in the kitchen, sitting next to John's phone. Oh yes, nice and toasty in here. There we go. Okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. And I am your Sensei Al Bob, and I am not with John at this moment. The kitchen was getting cold, and John left me there with his phone on its little thingamajig, and like I was supposed to stay there. But here it's nice and warm, and I won't be hopefully interrupted. But so the last time I went to Ireland, and I told this story the other night. So these guys their parents died. And they had the same kind of attitude towards their parents as John does, meaning their parents gave them everything, sent them to school, undergraduate, overgraduate, gradual, you name it. They had all kinds of degrees. Did they do anything with them? No, And they parents, sent them $5,000 each. So they married each other, and they had $10,000 a month. And she had this little house in West Asheville, and they lived there a little bit. And then, they basically, had $10,000 a month. So when the stock market changed to the better and their credit rating was like super duper, they got a loan and bought a really nice house in North Asheville. Nice and a pretty good deal. And I built a recording studio in the basement for her. And so she would come to all of these, to my, potluck dinners, where all the fun, folk came, and she would get drunk and be obnoxious. And we'd be having conversation, and she said, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you didn't do that." I mean, I would have photos of all the things I did, and she said, "Oh, he didn't do that." And there I am with the aliens, and there I am with Jimmy Carter, there I am with Pol Pot, there I am with Richard Nixon. Anyway, so she would just dig herself deeper and deeper into a hole, and everything I had done, she went off and tried to do. had been a healer. I was teaching, there, and so she went. She can never finish anything. She never, she was okay in a university where she could just take a test and get a grade. But when it came time to like really do it, not so much. So anyway, she was really hot. So men would like be drawn to her like, like flies to shit. And, but they'd hang out with her a few times, a few blowjobs, a few rim jobs, and, they got tired of her. And, but she was hilarious, right? And she, John's a good musician, but he doesn't play a song. He just like hits the drums really well, and he plays the guitar really well. And he'd make a great rapper. He really makes songs up like in his head. And so did she. And when she got drunk, she was hilarious, right? And so all my friends, why do you even hang out with this girl? Well, one, her husband was this kind of meek guy, but he was super duper passive aggressive and had this intense Freudenscheider. He loved watching other people suffer, and he would then, oh, it's too bad. It's So it was quite, me. If it's funny, it's funny. But I try to ameliorate people's suffering, as you can see in my endeavors. And so tomorrow it will be 2 weeks that I've been here, and that's pretty good, right? So, and I don't know if you saw it with my shot with my phone this afternoon's amazingness, and it was, so my phone, the thing that happened 2 days ago might show up tomorrow, and this thing that I shot this afternoon might show up like Monday. I don't know why it takes so long for my phone to render, and my laptop does it like that. So anyway, John says that my phone has a more bandwidth in my camera, and my little laptop just has a, not that groovy of a camera. And he may be right. I don't know. So anyway, she was, again, everyone, why I'm so good at reading people is that people are basically like Mr. Potato Head. There's only 5 different types, right? And I, that's it. There's 5 types, It's just like, there's 5 ears, 5 nose, 5 eyes, 5 cheeks, 5 mouths, and that's it. And then there's 28 dimensional characteristics. And then between them, there are what are known as tells, how your body language is. So there's all of 60 to 100 different variables, and your brain can process that like that. So I've been studying this for 60 years, and it's all up there, and I don't even think about it. And when you think about stuff, that's when it gets clunky, right? Because when I do electric work, I just see it. I feel it. I'm not, especially when I'm fixing something or troubleshooting something, I'm not, and I may take notes and then think about it, but I'm just, it's like I'm a dowsing rod, right, when it comes to electricity. And so healing, we are electrochemical devices. I'm a dowsing rod to that. To emotional, psychoanalytical motifs, it's, again, electrochemical. So I'm, a dowsing rod that with certain metaphors. Freud put these metaphors in there, right? And so because we are character traits of mythology, and that's why, Ireland is quite the interesting spot. Let's see. Let's go. Maybe from Texas. Amy from Texas. Yeah, so my name is Amy. Okay. Amy from Texas. She says something I can't even read. Amy's good. Not good, but she's actually, he said, what? No, she's not putting it in capitals. Remember, guys, you want me to be able to read it. Jamie, good to see you, buddy. Oh, thanks for sharing that piece of food together. Yeah. Amy, Texas. Amy, why are you doing everything off? I can't read it when it's in that grayness. You wouldn't know truth if it. Hmm. Let's see. Hey, come on, girls, get nice. Behind the scenes, there are many masters that work like that. Yep. Witness her work after the bombing. Lovely brother. Yep, exactly. Amy is Amy. That is my given name. Born at the Air Force Hospital, Texas. What Air Force hospital? My dad was in the Air Force. Ding, 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 ding. Yep. Well, let's see. Boop, 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 boop. Do, 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 do. Let's see. Well, let's see what this does. There we go. Well, Amy wasn't being too positive, and so we just did that. That's the new rules of the game. You don't just come in and start mucking about. Anyway, let's see. Let's go to the bottom. And she was taking up a good deal of the chat. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Jane. Yep, you're in caps. No, that's good. Then I can read it. If you put it in caps, I can read it. You guys, sorry, caps. You can put it in caps. With damage to your left eye orbit. Yep. I'm 72, guys. Things are wearing out. I know I look so young. But anyway, so Ireland is a very interesting, and that guy I was telling you about, that I was playing his show, he really is quite amazing, And he got a hold of me. He wanted to do stuff together, and then he got distracted, went south on it, and but that's okay because he does really good shows. It's his.
Dr. Gadri, is it healthy to eat oatmeal every day? When you see the word whole grain,
It's called Mind Unveiled. That's what it's called. A very good show. Mind Unveiled, one of my favorite channels. So is dark journalism. So is Really Graceful, and there are a whole bunch of others. Cliff High, and I've seen what's his name? Guy used to have the Crow Show in Australia. Let's see if I can find him. Oh, the other, JP. He's quite the hoot. So is Jimmy Dore, and you have to realize that all these folks, all these folks have a point of view, which is fine. I have a point of view. Mine's a little more widespread. But that's because, here he is. Ian, his new thing is Moti Holic. MOTVHOLIC, whatever that is. And that's this guy.
I will resist. Well, I won't resist, I'll respond. Which is what I've been doing. So, yeah. We're in a pretty desperate situation here at the moment, and what you've been looking at is legal avenues that people can take to kind of repel this police state that is being rolled out. There is no authority that exists between you and the Creator. I think it's a good way of getting through this. And that's the attitude people need to have against these parasites masquerading as politicians who call themselves the rulers of this country, who are actually public servants and should do what they're told by us. And if they won't, then they should step down. I think we should get every politician in this country, give them all a ball peen hammer, put them on Christmas Island and let them have their war. We could turn it into a reality TV show. That would be something constructive to do with politicians. Well, we've got to realise how farcical this system is, and how what it's really all about is the simple difference between right and wrong. If people step into their moral compass and refuse to comply with any legislation which causes me to step outside my moral compass, the world would change in a day. And if you're writing a law which is actually causing harm upon me or causing harm upon anybody else, then it is no law. It's not entitled to any obedience. It doesn't matter what anybody wrote down or what any judge says about it. That's my attitude towards the whole thing. What they have done with the government is that they are the extremists. They are becoming radical. They have done everything they can to remove the rights of the people. And they've taken away any type of debate against this, and any type of debate against it is called extremism. You're called a radical if you're standing up for your rights and caring for what the government is doing, which is essentially radical. The government is completely out of control. So that's the way they're controlling the narrative, and suddenly we get painted as extremists if we stand up against their extremism. There you've got all the mainstream sources pushing fake news for 4 years. They will complain that we're fake news. No, you were pushing fake news. You just didn't admit it when it was all exposed as being corrupt and all exposed as being a complete cloud and a smoke screen. Fear and concern are two different things. I'm not in fear. I'm concerned about this situation that we're in, but I see concern gives me the opportunity to apply remedy to my concerns. Fear, you usually run away and cower and hide and wait for things to get worse. I will resist. Well, I won't resist. I'll respond. Which is what I've been doing. So, I'm concerned. Sure, I'm concerned for the future. I'm concerned that not enough people are standing up and making a better world for our children. But I'm also confident that they will, because it's going to get worse and they're not going to have a choice soon. So they will, because that's what a human spirit does. So as much as there is need for concern, there is a lot to be concerned about. There's no reason to fear any of this, because ultimately you just came here for this experience anyway. And the one part of life that is inevitable is your death. So you came here to die. That's what you came here to do. It's what you do with that along the way. And being in fear of all that, like I've said to people, it's like coming into life and you're getting on the roller coaster, and as soon as you get on the ride, you go, oh my God, the ride's going to end. So, you're in fear of death as soon as you're born. You miss out on the whole ride. So, it's what we do with it. So, there's a lot to be concerned about. But a crisis brings opportunity. And we are in a crisis, and that is a great opportunity for human freedom. So, I have no fear. I think we will lead it to the type of world we want. I think we'll get back to a point where the human spirit is free to be all it can be, and we'll get back to reaching our creative potential. And like I said, I think they've moved too fast, brother. So, all they're doing is waking more and more people up. They've red-pilled most of the world in the last 18 months. I think it's just going to continue to do that. It's going to grow exponentially, this awakening. And the darkness will continue to grow while people refuse to look at it. All you've got to do is cast light on it and it flees. But people have this inability to be able to process certain types of information, unfortunately. And they get scared of it. They think they're in a state of high vibration if they don't look at the shadow. We really know they're in fear of looking at the shadow. You're actually in a state of low vibration, because as soon as you look at the shadow and you cast light on it, the shadow flees. So, it's people's failure to do that. And so it has to come to this. It has to get to the point where the shadow is confronting them. So they have to look. As soon as they look, well, they'll heal it. So that's what this is the opportunity for, brother. You always had to come.
Did you notice that all the people that he had photographed looking concerned were white? And that is Australia. It is so white. They have killed anybody who comes in, it's not a diverse country, right? So it's white as white can be. And yeah, there's some, Indians and Pakistanis, and because it was an English, it still is. It's part of English, whatever they call it, Yeah, you're a free country, but still we own you. Like Canada is, and the United States still is too. We have that special relationship. So Abe Fish, yes, I watched him on BitChute. Yeah, so it's you watched Ian on BitChute. Yeah, he's I like him, right? But they hassled him, boy. In 20 they went after him big time. And damn it, I love you people. Damn it, I love you, Lana. So what was that Amy girl? I mean, was she just mental? What was that? I don't know. Yeah. So there are a lot of, so as, Ian, whatever, that our brother just said, he speaks straight up truth, that guy. I love that guy. And he's right. This is really the beginning of a better time, and we just have to stand up. And we don't, that guy, our brother there, is really on the line. I mean, he is not doing anything else, but he is being the example of doing his best, right? And so he can't stand watching this. When this was all unfolding and he started, back in, 20, 8, I think. And he was going on about the wars. He just goes straight to it like a laser beam. And when, 2019, he was one of the first people to say, hey, something's going on. And, I got turned on to Cliff High. Well, I knew Cliff High before, but I didn't know he had a YouTube channel. I mean, guys, if you haven't really noticed, I don't really know anything, And the other thing about me is I am a babe in the woods. When I come into a new thing going on, I'm a babe in the woods. But I'm, ready to learn everything about it I can, right? And I jump in and that's why I'm a good negotiator. I scratch the surface to see what's going on. Most people don't even touch it and, spend half their life not touching anything or getting advice. Max, that's the guy, right? Max Igon, right? Max got out of Aussie just in time. Great intuition. That man, they were going to disappear him, that's for sure. Who is this Jeff Berwick? If he got Max out, he's a good guy. Because when I was in Australia, it was a police. I mean, I was there for 3 years, and they had martial law twice. And that's part of my stuttering. I think too fast, and I try to say all the words at once, and that usually never works. So my mom is a bit better. I will learn how to earn, Patreon. Yep. Me too. I need. Where's that cold air coming from? It's gotten pretty nippy here. It's 8 degrees, and John wanted to go out. It was like an ice skating rink just around my car. Oh, we can drive out your car. It's no, John, physics, heavy car on ice, the car just slides and you can't stop it. Whereas my car was right on dry land and the ice was all around it, so I wasn't going anywhere until after that. But I mean, and that's again, John's the people's prince, saint of truth, and he's whatever he wants, I mean, the beginning of the show, when he just came in and brought his camera and his laptop and he's got his map of, you want to show exactly where the crone lived. The crone doesn't want anyone to know where she lives. I mean, her place disappeared. Anyway, when I went to show the rich lady that scene, we took her up. I took her up there, and the road was closed. She never existed. I went back to where the pub was, with the post office, general store, all in one. And a guy, who was there when I was there, he was still there because he was, my age. His daddy and his granddaddy, his great granddaddy started his family thing. And I cruised, said, "Oh, look, hey, who's there?" I said, "Hey, bud, how it is?" I said, "Where's the old crone?" And he goes, "No one knows." I said, "Where's the road?" He goes, "I know, that's pretty, So, yes. Who is this one? Yes, definitely gonna. So, guys, when I hit the 3 little dots and it comes up and it says pin this, what does pin mean? What does it do when you pin something? Cat in the box. Yeah. Schrodinger's cat. Try it. Okay. Next person I want to get rid of, I'll pin it. So you hit the pin, and then the person who is being the troll gets it in its butt and starts screaming and crying and. You mark that comment. Thank you, madam. So I guess just putting it hidden is the best thing to do to these people, right? Just hide them, right? I don't like hiding things. It makes me think that they're lurking underneath. You mark it. That is on top. Okay, I got it. Okay, so I don't want to do that. That's for sure. Hiding it is the best because they're pretty obnoxious. Now, what do if what do you call it? The person who is the administrator, is that what it is? The person with the wrench. The thing I mistakenly did when I gave it the wrench, and they blocked everyone. You never did? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Oh. And I'm just doing this, but all you guys found a way back. I know it may have been difficult for you, and some like the guys like me, I wouldn't know how to get do another thing. So I mean, I would have to learn. I mean, everything I didn't know when I started this, I had little by little I had to learn things, so I learned them. So that's kind of what I do, and but it's disconcerting. I mean, that's John. I mean, all he thinks about himself. You know, he always go, "Oh, my children, my children." But does he go see them? No. Does he? You know, his one of his sons is really pissed at him because he didn't send them any Christmas presents, didn't talk, didn't say anything except long, emails about you have to come and live with me. Do they really want to do that? I don't think so. And his oldest son wanted to, and John said no. Unless everyone comes. I mean, these are, and again, John is the people's saint of truth because he is showing exactly what the individual person does when they basically manifest this fascist state that we live in. And now you guys on the chat, on the other hand, you're doing your best. You've got jobs, you got things, you got families, kids, blah, 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 and you've got a life and you're living it. But you are here in a community that, supports each other, right? And, you listen to my stories and they kind of wash over you and you are inspired to be your best. I'm not telling you what to do. I have no idea what to do. I don't even know what to do. But I do every day in every way take to piece the earth and make it strong. I don't talk about God and Jesus. I don't, try to make a deal. It's not like let's make a deal with Jesus. Oh Jesus, oh protect me, no. I mean, if you want to be protected, you don't let stuff get in your grill. You keep a conscious awareness of your 360. Yes, you're not perfect, so it doesn't always work. You can be me. I'm a moron 40% of the time. And that means you're not being too conscious when you're a moron. You're not being too aware when you're a moron. You're not being too your intent is moronic. So, and my stories, all my stories portray this guy who, I'm like, a traveling, an itinerant scholar, Homer Simpson. That's me. And I have a lot of Magas in my life, and I have 128 godchildren, right? Quite a few Lisas and quite a few Barts and quite a few Maggies, right? And so, and that brings me great joy and satisfaction in this life. Someone a few shows back said, "Is there anything you wish you did?" Or what was the term they used? What is it? Not disappointment, but oh, you wish you did that. There's a term for that. No, everything I've done, I kind of learned early. When I was, how old was I? When I was about 5, maybe even 4, we were running around as kids. I stayed with my grandma until about 4, and then she let me, play out there with the guys on the street. Right? 4, 5, and 6, 7, I went back home. And so 4, 5, and 6, I was hanging with these guys. Where is that drift? I'm going to have to, it's like going right on my head. I'm going to have to and I have to get up and stretch a little bit. Anyway, so there were about 8 of us, maybe. There was a large group of us. And we were not as a cadre as we are here on the chat, or the cadre that I had in grammar school on Long Island, because cadres are these things that a group of people, but they're like not insulated, but tight. And they really, really care. We're friends, not so much. Friends are just kind of, someone you're hanging with, especially when you're that young. There was only one, I had a best friend. And I had this tricycle. And I was tooling around on this tricycle. And I came, flying down this hill. And there was this kid. And bang! I just ran over him. I mean, didn't bump him, and he went flying. I like ran over him, and the front wheel went over him, and then the two back behind me stopped on him. He's like there, right? Yeah, I think it was my left foot was on the pedal, and the pedal was on his head, and he just looked up at me and goes, "Hi, I'm Teddy. Want to be my friend?" And they just ran over. So he was my friend. Teddy and I were inseparable, and he had Asperger's. He had every, and all of those things. Autism, Asperger's, or it's not that. You're not like a pinprick on a chart. It's kind of this, scale, and he was playing the whole, he was playing the whole scale, this boy, but he was brilliant and he had photographic memory and in everything. And it was great because we would tool around. He could tell you how many windows there were, how many bricks were on a wall. I mean, he was quite interesting. People thought, they couldn't stand it, but I thought he was just the bomb. So he was my best friend. And he grew up faster than I did. By the time I was 6, he was like, half a foot taller than I was. And he was a big guy. At 6, he was a big guy. I mean, he looked like he was 10 at 6. And people picked on him. And I would, I was a little peanut until I was, till 13, 14. 13, 14. And I was growing. 13, 14, 15, 16, I was like 5'9". Right? I was the average tall, or, a little taller than the average is what I was. But until then, I was a little peanut, right? I don't think I got to 100 until I was 100 pounds, until I got to be 13, right? I was skinny and a little guy. And so people would say really mean things about Teddy, and I would like jump right on him. And, he was the sweetest. He never said a mean thing. Not like John. John, is cruel, mean. I mean, just says the most amazing, we're on, live chat, and he will say just amazing things. But on the other side, he'll say, "Oh, Al is, it's just, quite, as a social scientist, that's why, and it's a great training for me not to really get emotional, I'm involved, but I'm not emotionally, I'm emotionally involved, but I'm not like it. He doesn't raise my ire. I've been with him so much, and he said so many cruel, and just, you should listen to stuff he says to his family. It's like, I can kid about my family. I mean, I've told you all about my family. I don't say anything mean, but I, tell stories about them, from the lips of babes. Yep. So that was Teddy. He was quite amazing. But the rest of the guys, it was a big group of kids on our street. And we were kind of insulated because the West Side was right there. The park was right there. Grant's tomb was right there. And we had like 3 blocks that there was if you were on those roads, it was only to go to one of those apartments. There was nothing you could go through to, right? But, over there was, Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. That was the closest big road. But so there were 4 blocks up to that, they would basically dead end cul-de-sacs. And, so that's, our neighborhood was relatively safe. There's no rushing cars or trucks or buses or anything like that. It's just a bunch of run-down apartment houses and brownstones. And so there were all those kids, and we played in the park, and we played stickball, and we just ran around. We had no real plans, right? But there was this one, like magazine, newspapers, soda fountain, candy, kind of general story. No groceries, just, you could get, pens and pencils and paper and paper clips and stuff like that. But anyway, and they had this whole bin of like penny candy, bubble gum, jawbreakers, all that kind of stuff. And basically, it was right at the height of us, and there was no. It was like you could steal it if you wanted to, right? And these guys, a lot of the guys would steal it, right? And just, oh, I got over. Look, I got 3 cents of bubble gum, And because I can talk to people and multitask. I remember they did it, so I tried it, and man, I was way better at any of that than they. And they'd lie like a rug, and they'd always get caught in their lies. And so they'd lie, steal, and cheat. Well, we weren't going to school yet, but they would cheat in games. So nobody wanted to play with them, right? So at about the age of 5, I had my best friend Teddy, who was he didn't know how to lie, cheat, or steal. Right? It wasn't even in his vocabulary. And then I saw these other guys that's all they did, and I just didn't want to be with them. Those guys made fun of Teddy all the time, and Teddy was just like, having a warm pair of, just so comfortable. What was truly fun about Ted, we'd hang out, we'd do stuff, we talked about everything. I mean, I was thinking about, spacemen and time travel and, E equal MC square, and he could see it all. He had this visualization in his head. So we would talk about, and I'm reading stuff that my grandma's gave me. I'm reading theology, I'm reading Shakespeare, and he could read anything. I think he was born reading, and he had all of it. He had Shakespeare, at 4 years old, he had Shakespeare memorized. I mean, this kid was like, whew. So, and story, he remembered everything he did. That 3 weeks ago, he would tell you, I got up, I did this, I had this for breakfast, I went downstairs for 86 steps. And to me that was just amazing. And I just everyone just was like, to me that was the greatest, amazing. And he and I stayed friends until how old was he? 32. So from like 4 till 32, he got hit by a bus. He was, I don't know what he was doing, but he got hit by a bus. I wasn't around, but a friend of a friend of a friend said, your friend Teddy got hit by a bus. I said, what? Yeah, about a year ago. What? And he had, he had a job in the city where he like counted, pencils or something, and he was very happy with that job, and he had a wife at one time, and she died. People who aren't really here for a reason, right? And when they go, they go. And like Max said, we're born to die, and it's what you do in between. And Teddy was so sweet in those 32 years he had. At least I'm sure he touched a lot of people like he touched me, right? So, but he was one of my best. I've got friends that I've had for 50 years, and they're tight, buds, Sometimes he uses a little phone. Let's see. I was wearing Bluetooth earbuds to go to get food, and earbuds died. My pad was next to she came running to saying, yep, again, I forgot. How are you speaking, Anthony? You speak fine. What did somebody say before, Anthony? Sometimes I wonder what makes. I'll read a comment ever. Well, I want to see what you guys are saying. I'm just going on and on here, and if annoying people jump in, I'm the only guy who can. Maybe one of you need to be the administrator. Because you guys, it's your community. It's not really. I'm just. What am I? I'm just your Sensei Al Bob. Your community. It's not mine. I'm just your Sensei Al Bob telling you what to be. So, and like I said, thinking I said something wrong, so I'm ignored until I realize I'm blocked. Let's see. See, I have no idea about any of this. So. Oh, I know the feeling, dear Lynn. Yeah, Anthony. So that's what I'm talking about. Maybe one of you guys needs to be the administrator. Who's a grown up in the room that has a big heart. I mean, see, you're all the grown up in the room that has a big heart. And you're all so different. That's why I like you guys. His site isn't great. Yeah, see, I have other vision. That's what it should be called, other vision. There's television, there's other vision, which is Al's vision, so that's kind of what it is. And I love you all. There's nothing about any of you guys that annoys me. And I really don't. I mean, look, I live with John, and he doesn't really annoy me. I just observe. And learn. I try to help. What I do feel with God is I don't like using the word sorrow or pity, because those are too, they're not, they're too, whatever they are too. But let's see. Whatever matters, this dude is worth any big word. Thank you. If that was meant towards me, I don't know. We jumped a big whole thing, man. That's I've been so close to being killed by a bus. I've had many bus interludes, but I've always been the observer. I think I told you the story one time. I was going to the dentist. I took the subway. I got up at 34th Street where the big library is, came up the steps from that station, and I got off with 7 people, right? And we went up the steps together, right? Like in lockstep, right? Well, and around the library, the sidewalks are really wide because I have a big park around the big central library in New York City. And, it's a big avenue, 34th Street, and around the library. The sidewalks in New York are quite wide to begin with. They're about 20 or 30 feet wide, just the regular ones. But this one's like almost 60 feet, right? And it has a big stone wall and nice park benches along that, and trees every 20 feet or so that have grown up for the last 100 years. So it's that lane is very shady. And they've allowed booksellers to either just set up tables or have these little kiosks, and they sell books. And these guys, it's not just like, the paperback you buy at the drugstore. These are interesting books. And so, because this is a world famous library. So I get off and I go up the steps for these, and we're walking down this big thing, 7 in the line, and I'm looking at the kiosk and I see this one book, and I stop, and even though I'm like a little bit late now, I'm going to look at a book, and so I'm like looking at this book, reading the book, looking at what's on there, and then all of a sudden I hear this crash, screams, smash, and I drop the book and I run up to the corner, and those people I was walking with, they waited on the corner. The light changed. They started, it says walk. They started to walk. This bus driver had a heart attack, and he just careened and ran them right over, and then went up onto the sidewalk and just started mowing people down until he smashed into where the steps came to go up in the library, and that's what stopped the bus. But it killed all of those people. They were the first one just mowed down, and then run over by the tires. And then by then, people were screaming, and so people were jumping out of the way, but it just kind of went right up the sidewalk. So that was one bus, thing. I was on a bus in Greece going from Athens to Delphi, and that road there is like that long, and this big bus, and the bus was like curving, and every so often the brakes started to go out, and he would go up on the side of the road, and it would like, and then we'd be like this, and everybody out. And so we'd all get out. And it was truly amazing every time that happened. And it happened like 4 times or more or less, but more than 3. There would be some guy like sitting in the bushes with a rag with a bunch of tools wrapped up in it, and he would come in and knock on whatever underneath the bus, and then he'd say, okay, and the guy would get in, and we'd go up and we'd drive around, but it was like a cliff there, and the mountain here, and the road was like this, and it was like so leaving Delphi, we hitchhiked. We didn't take a bus. Because I asked someone up in the city of Delphi, I said, all the buses are terrible. They're government run, and they're just, and like every 3 weeks one goes off the cliff and kills 10 people. And I said, oh, I guess I'm hitchhiking back. And the guy said, yeah, that's, or walk, But it was like, 300 miles. So I've had a few interesting situations with buses. So yes. And I've been thrown out under a few. Yeah, that would be fun. Can you have a co-moderators? That might be interesting. So yeah, Lana, Anthony, let's talk on email. And that's, again, here's another good point. Thank you very much. A number of you have been very generous, and still, if you want to throw anything in my PayPal, you can, and it's you get a hold of them, and then they say what email, and the email is thedudeawake42@gmail, thedude42@gmail, and any of you, a lot of you, get a hold of me personally there, and we talk about personal things, and I'm up for it. I'll talk to you about anything. You know me, I'll talk about anything. And, and I'll keep talking until you go, okay, hey, that helps, So I'm always there for you. So that's where it is. Oh, man. Oh, I was, before it snowed, we had about 6 inches last week, and that was easy to rake away. But last night we had like maybe a half inch of light snow, and I got up early and I tried to rake it away, and it already had turned straight to ice, because it got super cold. Right now it's 8 degrees out there, and that's why I'm sitting up, because I'm just getting a little breeze. I didn't want to get a chill. So I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to check out where the breeze is coming from. Okay, let's see. Stick this in there. Oh yes, that is cold. Well, when it's like it was 8 degrees this afternoon. So okay. There we go. So that was this afternoon. So now it's what time is it? It's like 6 or 7 or something like that. What is it? Oh, it's 8 o'clock. And there's 7 people here. Last night when I signed off and we did 6 hours, right? 182 people were watched, right? And there were more that were there, but they weren't like in the thing, right? Then this morning I looked at it and it said 87, right? Okay. And I saw it this afternoon. It said 78. It's like, it's something I don't understand about that. Well, here's this is Max again.
So there's nothing to fear about any of this. But, like I've said, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for us to get back what it means to be human. And we don't need...
Yes, it's an opportunity to get back to what it is to be human, right? So we got to get out of our, whatever those things are. No. Where is this? Here we go. Let's see what the temperature is. That's what I was looking for. Come on. Ooh, 2 degrees. That's nippy. Feels like, what's it feel like? -7. It's clear. Okay. And tomorrow it's going to be 11 and clear. Saturday going to be, today. Okay, what's that? Sunday is going to be 33. Yay! 22. Sunday is going to rain and 46. And when that happens, I'll be able to get out of here. Not for good, but just down the hill. I've been here 2 weeks. Anyway, let's see what you guys should think. Let's see. Jamie said, "That's sad, Al. I've been so close to being killed by a bus many times. Karmic. You must have been a bus driver in another life. And it's your time." That's it. I've died 6 times. Pretty much I know when it's my time. That's it. And I'll be happy to go, because I know that I've done everything. Because I died 6 times, and the last 3 times I was there for the roundup, and they said, "Hey, you've been doing a great job. Go back and keep going." And then I had to come back, and when you die, it does something to your body. And yes, I look pretty good. Yes, I can get around. Yes, that picture, John put the worst image of me for Christmas on the Christmas video that he could, and I was good. I actually like that because you could really see the real difference between that Christmas and the Christmas we had. And then he blamed me for looking good. You just tried to show me up. Please, come on. I don't care. I really don't care what I look like. And and I don't, all I care about is that the people who are around me are all right, and I feel good, and they feel good. One of the things of being with John is that you see how he is. Many of you, how can you stand it? Well, he's my friend, and I'm trying to help him. Trying to find the exit strategy for him. I'm trying to learn, and the main thing I really do get out of this is what I learn from it. So as long as I get that, but there's a point. And why I left 2.5 years ago was because I, spent 12 months, 1 year and 8 months with him, and realized that really all I was doing was enabling this habitual habit. Now, he still is doing the same thing, but he is markedly better, right? Because he was, when I said there's this line and there's a sweet, good side to him, and then there's this evil creature living in him. Well, the evil creature had like 95% of him. Now it only has about 60%, maybe 58, right? And in the 2 weeks I've been here, he's, it's gone from 60 to 68, maybe. 60 to 58 and maybe 56, so just from the 2 weeks, he's gotten a little bit better. You mean we need to caps letters? So you can see it. Yes, that's what it's about. When it's in the caps, it's for me to read. Oh my God. This is sad, but hilarious. Yes, it's that too. And what do you think I do? My life is sad, but hilarious, You can email me if you like. Also, pictures could be. Yeah, send me some pictures, Jay, so I know you've been, emailing me, but sometimes I can't find people. But if they send it to me and I see it in that week, I can, and that goes for all of you. Just say, hey, here I am, come to, the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, and says, hey, here I am, and put your name there. And then, most of you, I got you down. And I don't know how to make a list or the contact Whoopi or any. I don't have a clue about any of this. I really don't. This is all a wing and a prayer. And I used to study with a group a thing called the Course in Miracles, and it's online. You don't have to buy it. It's really good. Big, thick book, Course in Miracle, right? And then they have the study guide and workbook. And then they have the teacher's guide. It's really a good thing. You guys should go check it out because it really, I've turned it on to many people who, back in the day when I was a consultant, one of the things I did was make up protocols for meetings. And that one book, just the way it was set out, was and it was set on the Iroquois nations. They used to have this thing called the Longhouse, where everybody in the tribe was long enough where everyone could fit in. They sat in a circle around the campfire, and everyone could have their saying. And they had the speaking stick or the magic feather or whatever you want to call it, and one to the left. And they had the facilitator, might be the chief, might be somebody else, but they couldn't express their opinion. They could only facilitate. Then they had at the doorway, there was a gatekeeper who would inform everyone what was said in the last meeting and what this meeting was about. And if you wanted to come with anything other than what the meeting was about, well, you couldn't come in, right? And when you said, okay, that's all I want to talk about, you had to take a pledge that you would be your best self. And if you couldn't take that pledge, because that was straight up you're lying and you'd be thrown out of the tribe. If you couldn't do that, then you couldn't come in. And then they had a thing, Vibes Watcher. Now, these are all my nomenclature that I put on them. They were called other things in Iroquois, so I'm just putting my nomenclature. So Vibes Watcher was the person who, if they could feel, things are, no one's starting to scream at each other, but it's starting to get out of hand. That person has the authority to step, okay, everyone take a breath, hug, let's, and then the other person was the scribe, and the scribe took the notes, and made the minutes of the meeting, right? And then that person who was the scribe became the facilitator, because what better person to be facilitator and the person who took all the notes the last meeting, right? And the last thing you do before you leave the longhouse is to say, okay, everyone agrees we're going to do this, right? Okay. You get a consensus on the thing that you were talking about. Then you take a consensus. So what things did we not talk about that we should talk about? And then you talk about that. And then you make the agenda right there for the next meeting. And then you also decide when you are, what was it Wednesday good for everybody? 6 o'clock. Oh, no, you can't make it. Okay, then how about when, and then you do that. And everyone's at the meeting. Everyone who, agrees on what was consensus, agrees on the agenda for the next meeting, and agrees when to meet, right? So when you come back, if you were the scribe took down who was there, you come back, you are honored to be to your agreement, to talk about what's consensus, to go along, to be part of the crew that enables the consensus agreement to happen, to at the next meeting, to show up at the time and not say, oh, I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it good. That's too bad. We're not changing anything. You're just not there and you had no input. Sorry, see you later, bye. And that's the Iroquois Great Law. And, our founding fathers actually based our constitutional organizational structure on that, right? And then they killed them all, right? Let's see. Yeah, everyone in the cadre is deserving of all the love in the world, right? All of us, right? And that's, everyone. Lana, Lynn, everybody, right? Anthony, everybody, right? Because we are all different, and yet we are all our relations. We are so tight with each other that we, feel each other when that's why everyone comes on the chat, because they almost don't have to chat, right? You too, all of you. Yep. I would give you a big hug. Yeah, okay, right now, everyone sit in a nice comfy place. Let your shoulders drop just a little bit. Close your eyes, take a big breath in. And when you got your top of your big breath, just hug everyone and squeeze so tight. Squeeze your breath out. Squeeze your breath out. Let all your breath out. Let it all out. You're all the way to the bottom of your breath, and you can feel that big hug, can't you? I do. I feel that big hug. Mm-hmm. And that's how you do that. That's called a group hug. The 5th of November. Yeah, that's why I played the V speech. I love that speech. And at the end of the movie, right, everything is going nuts. It's so there's this psychosis I've been talking about for years. And it's now the new thing, what everyone in the world is feeling. This group psychosis, right? And, I'm not a fan, but I studied the Tavistock Institute, which was started by Freud's nephew Bernays, and it's a handbook for mind control, planetary mind control, propaganda, and advertising, right? And it's it was paid for by the Rockefeller Foundation. Oh, just think of that, and and Mr. Rothschild was also part of that. Oops, and it was a cornerstone of the Council on Foreign Relations. And that's what they're trying to screw with. So anyway, so there's this thing that they are putting out there in alternative media, the Joe Rogan show. They had the guy who invented, he's got all the patents, Nobel Prizes for inventing the technology for, memory RNA, right? Messaging, right? RNA, and he's one of the large. He spent his whole life inventing vaccines, right? And he is being attacked for being an anti-vaxxer, a guy who's got all the patents. And Fauci said that he is, a peripheral person, in the science world. What Nobel Prize? Miss Doctor, you got a Nobel Prize, Fauci? Anthony. I don't want to say that because, Anthony is how I say Anthony. Not Anthony. Anthony is for Mr. Larry. Anthony Larry. I don't say his name. It's like Voldemort. I don't say his name. And he is so tied to micro penis Billy Boy that it's So I mean, like Max said, everyone in the world is being red pilled. They're waking up big time, and there's not much the hidden hand can do because they're just hanging on by their fingernails, and there's not many of them. Within the high table, I would say there's no more than 1,500 people, right? Within the construct of the powers that shouldn't be, well, that's probably larger, maybe 250,000, but that's about it. 250,000 compared to the 7 billion people, give or take, that are on this planet, and they're all conscious. They're not like, there are a lot of that have their heads in the sand, but my sisters, I just don't want to talk about it. And if you, want to, you have to be either like super duper this or super duper that. But I'm open minded unless you don't agree with me. And then you are, I just don't want to know you, and you're off my list, and I will never talk to you again. And my brother, he my older brother anyway, he's pretty much written off the human race, and he's expecting the end of the world anytime, and he's getting bullets, and now I can, like I said, we shared a bedroom, and I've been tight with him for a long time. So even though he can I made a quip. He got, he had like a Las Vegas marriage a couple of weeks ago. He didn't tell me anything about it, and not even, last week, not a couple of weeks, last week. And my older sister told me about it. So I called him up and I said, "Oh, it's great that I'm so happy you got married. You're happy again. And your picture in the New York Post on page 6, it was great. And, that you were, with the bishop and all those flowers, I was like, kid, oh my God, you probably won't talk to me for a year until the day dies. I'm not sure." But I said something to him for Christmas. I said, I remember, and I described my dad and my mom were real. My mom's German, so she's like total gaga. The Germans are total gaga for Christmas. My dad just loved the advertisement of that. I mean, he had all of these Coca-Cola. He had all of Santa and the reindeers, and every one of these cardboard cutout things, which were like really great art. Was Coca. Santa had Coke in his hand. The reindeers all had collars with Coca-Cola on the collar. It was like So he loved the corporate materialism of Christmas, right, and the art of it. Because my dad was a pretty good artist. He really appreciated art in his own interesting way. But as he got older, I mean, he saw me do art, and then I got him in the arts students league, which is a pretty big thing in New York City. You can't just join it. You got to, be recommended. And then I recommended him and my mother so they could go together. And it was really nice. It's like right near in the new school, and they really have really great teachers. And I knew this one woman who was really Catherine Higgs, who's great, water painter, and but she was a painter. She was a great painter, period, and art historian and a great teacher. She was just the best of teachers. And so I got my parents into that class, which was hard to, everybody wanted to study with her, you couldn't just join the Art Students League. You had to have somebody recommend you. And I was like, I'd been in it for a long time since I went to Juilliard, and my scenic teacher, because I learned how to do trompe-l'oeil. And he said, this kid's really good. He should be in the. And so I was, and I taught trompe-l'oeil for a little bit. And I was a member of the Art Student League. I think I still am. I don't think once you're that, it's like being Magnum. I was a member of Magnum, and I guess I still am. Being an electrician, you're always an electrician. Now, other things that I am, there are other, like being a shrink. Yeah, I have my MSW, but I haven't really practiced in 30 years. Now, I mean, I practice every day, but not like, like they do, because they really are, those guys took it to the mat with being transsexual. So, what are we saying here? It's all good. It's all good. Love, pure and simple for our learning. You got it, Jamie. Jamie's right. So maybe all should be the guys with the wrench. Von Nugo. Who the heck is Von Nugo, Anthony? Whom? When you talk in that speak, I have no idea. The small b. Is that laugh out loud or love only lives? I'm not quite sure. Tony. Question marks, laughs. I'm a commie. You're a commie bot, right, Anthony? I don't know. Anyway, 2 hours has gone by. 70 are there. Send me thumbs up. That's all good. Let's see. So let's talk about what we're doing to be our best. What little projects. And, people have a salon, book club, potluck dinners. What do you like? No matter how I have no money in my, ashtray, which I don't smoke, I have about, I don't know, $2 or $3 in quarters and about $5 in singles. And I don't spend it, and I keep it there. And as I drive around, if I stop at a light or a stop sign and someone's there, so I can be stopped and not cause an accident, I roll down the window and say, hey, come over here. And I give them, $1. Right? And sometimes, when I have, some cash and I bought something, let's say I have a 20, right? And I stick the, and it costs $4, right? So I have a 5, a 1, and a 10, right? And I see somebody there, and I'll go in my pocket, and I'll just pull out one bill, whatever it is. $10 bill, they get the $10 bill. $5 bill, they get the $5 bill. $1 bill, they get the $1 bill, right? So those are, the different things I do, and I read everyone's, I'm on mine at the cash register. I'm like, whoever I look around energetically, I see who's ever in the dumps, and I give them a reading, right there and then. Santa Lana, right? Exactly. I'm building loads of bird boxes. Yep. Love those little dudes. Yeah, they are the best. The one thing we should do, like a friend of mine who's a bird person told me that like having a bird bath or a bird feeder isn't the best for the birds because they got, depends on what time of year it is. If it's winter, yes, feed them. But a bird bath, those birds can have lots of different bugs going around in them, right? And if you give them a place where they all come together, they can get each other sick. So where I am, my bird friend told me all the different plants that all the different birds like, and there are all kinds of bushes that have berries, right? And so I have about 10 different bushes planted in the deep green for 10 different types of birds, right? And they eat them, and then they poop out the seeds with poop, and that germinates them some more bushes. So I did that like 20 years ago, and now I have like 15 of each of those bushes all over the deep green. And that's the best way to feed them, right? And water, my friend said, instead of having a concrete bird bath, the thing to have is places. So I'm in a holler. Water goes there automatically. I have, when I first got the place, I spent a lot of energy putting French drains and drainage ditches and taking all the water to the stream, right? And so when they came, they showed me how to, where you have the drainage ditches, you have little hollery places where the water, can, build up there when it rains and be there for a day or two or three, and then it goes into the ground, and then it rains again, and that way, and I have like, I don't know, 40 or 50 along my little drainage ditch when we were putting that in. We just every 5 feet made one of these things, and it works great because it has, depending on how it rains or how much runs off or what it does, there are at least 20 of these things that have water in them at any time, but always different ones. So there's never the same one. They don't congregate, and there's more than one, right? So that's what my bird friend told me 20 years ago, that you don't put out, food for them in a singular place where they all can gather. And also, if you just throw them food, they get used to it instead of. And the other thing, if you kind of give them bread and that kind of food, what they do is they don't eat the bugs, and I want them to eat the bugs. Whereas you have the bushes, the berries are a different part of their diet, so they still want to eat the bugs, right? So the birds in my neck of the woods are my insect repellents, where people spray themselves and spray their house, and yeah, I do have one bug zapper that works pretty good over near my kitchen. Keeps them away from that. I put it like not over my kitchen, but over there. So anyway, that's my little feedback on that idea. I'm building, but bird boxes are. That is, all around great thing for those little dudes. Night, Anna. Lana, you're turning in? I might turn in too. I'm a little tired myself. Good advice. Never thought of that. Very interesting info. Yep, that's me. Always good for interesting info. Running water washes away. Yeah, birds. Yep. Yep, that's interesting info for bird lovers. And the drainage ditch was, when I was building it, it was quite easy to do. If I had to go back and do it, I don't know how easy it would have been, but doing it, anything you do the first time is always better. It's always best to do it right. Think twice, act once, Sweet dreams out. Okay. So yeah, it's 2 hours, 13 minutes. I got no real stories running, so I'm just gonna cash in. This arm is getting tired from holding up my laptop. Okay, so I'm gonna go up. Sweet dreams, sweet dreams. Good night. See you on the morrow. I love you all. Till then, night all.